Hi, this is Brian with My Bella Basilicata. I'd like to welcome you back to our series of short videos on genealogy research here in southern Italy. I want to talk a little bit about the church records that you might be able to access when doing research on your ancestral history here in southern Italy. Church records are generally going to be baptisms, marriages, and funerals. And these records can go back as hundreds of years, because in the Council of Trent, the Catholic Church dictated that the parish would begin to record these three events. And when these actually started can vary in time, but some of these records, we have actually been able to go to church archives and see these in the 1600s. So it can be a very fascinating source of information. But these are records that are kept at local parish archives for each church. Generally, you won't find these online or in other sources. The other thing with church records, these have very limited information. Sometimes they may only be 2 lines written in a book registry. Again, there were no types of certificates that were produced. The priest or someone working for the priest would record these events in a book. And until recently, these were pretty much always a handwritten book. So there were generally no pre-printed forms, and the script can be very difficult to read. Many of these are, until recently, also were recorded in Latin. And even if you have a priest now that you're going to work with to get access to some of these, I found many of the priests even now have not learned Latin, so they don't know how to read these documents, so that can be a problem in your research. Many of these records are also 2 things that can be problems, is the quality of the record and how they were stored. Frequently, these books were poor quality paper. There was poor quality ink that was used, so you have a lot of bleed through, which means that you'll have mirror images on pages, and that can make it very difficult to try and read these records that are written in script. Also, where a lot of these records unfortunately are kept, have not always been under the best of conditions. We have seen a lot of records with a lot of different types of damage. Some have been completely destroyed, whether it be water damage. A lot of them also have insect damage. They might just have rot. Unfortunately, we've seen some records where other people have gone in there and they've written on the records. I mean, you're pretty much damaging a historical resource. So these can be great records because they will many times go back and precede the civil records that generally start in 1809. You might be able to go back another 100, 200 years if they are available, because they are not always available. Not every parish has these records, especially in some of the parishes in the Campania region. A lot of these were destroyed during the bombings of World War II. So don't assume that you always have parish records that precede the civil records of 1809. You need to inquire on a local basis. Availability of access can greatly vary. It's all going to be dependent on the parish priest. Some parishes, they're very open to this. Some priests are very engaged in helping people research their genealogy. And unfortunately, a lot of priests, they are not willing to help at all. They will not open up access to these types of records. So you can ask and ask, but unfortunately, it is up to the parish priest whether or not you will be able to have access to these records. And they are not always available. And many times they can be very difficult to read, especially because they're in Latin or the condition of the records. So appreciate you joining us today. You can always find us on Facebook. We are on Instagram, and these videos are all on our YouTube channel. And you can find out more information about our genealogy services at our website,